What's up, everybody? Here we go again with another one of my guides for my favorite class, the PT Tank. Now, I've been maining the PT Tank basically since 5.0. It's become my main tank to play. So, you know what? Let's just get right into this guide here. All right, so let's first start out with the gear. All right, let's take a look at this. So, I have two sets of gear for my PT Tank. Just to let you know, and right now it's actually a little fucked up. This actually should be here, and this should be here. Okay, so the first set I'm gonna go over is the one that most people like to know about the most, is the skank tanking. Now, since Ossis update has made gearing a pain in the dick, the set bonus is still the DPS set bonus for most of the pieces. So, for the most part. So I gotta find that's kind of what's gonna be going on there. I think I still have, actually I do have my tanking gear still on, so let's go over let me just throw all my DPS gear right the fuck on. There we go. Yeah, I was switching specs there in the middle of a match earlier, which we'll go over in a second. We'll go over that in just a second, why I just had a little hodgepodge of gear right there. But alright, we got that all sorted out real quick. So, as you can see right now, it's still the DPS set bonus, but in a perfect world, you would get a tanking set and take the armoring out and put it in the other piece to get the tanking set bonus, but I don't have that right now because, fuck, this freaking meta, man, like, of gearing is just bizarre. It is absolutely bizarre. It takes forever to get anything done. So, without further ado, let's get into the gearing. So as you can see, I'm basically wearing just the DPS gear, stacking a degree of Alacrity and Power Crit as my two main stats I go for, as well as, just let's go over the augments here. So we got a 240, basically Endurance Aug in this one. Uh, we also got a Mastery Aug here. We got a Mastery Aug here as well. Let's go Mastery Augment here. Same thing. Mastery Augment here. So we got an Endurance one here. Well, this is my shield. So it's got, actually it's not my Endurance, it's a shield rating one here. And let's go for a weapon here. We got a Alacrity here. Alacrity here. Accuracy here. I'll explain why in a second. You may wonder why I have so much accuracy. There we go. So essentially, in a perfect world, so you see all the augments. In a perfect world, um, you get rid of all your accuracy if you're purely doing PvP, but I do use my PT tank DPS for NIM rating. So essentially, since this meta is so crazy with its gearing, I've had to utilize gear sets in two separate spheres. And don't worry, like I get it, like you would take all the accuracy out with the augments. You just rip it out of the augments and you would put in whatever the hell you want to put in either. I'd say power crit personally if you want to put that in. I just don't want to keep swapping gear out because I literally go from PvPing to NIM rating in like a day. Like throughout a day, and in swapping pieces around, swapping them to other power techs, I was super irritated with micromanaging my gear across like 3-4 power techs, which is the fastest way to gear, is having 3-4 power techs and just doing the dailies and stuff over and over again on them and sending stuff over legacy wide. But anyway, so this is going to be it. The critical rating is sitting about 42%, critical multiplier at 69%, just the way we like it. And the stim I am using is the DPS stim, basically for PvP, which increases your mastery and power for damage consistency. Now, I know what you guys are probably asking. Why Alacrity? Alacrity, 8.2%, is because Alacrity helps, and it passes the threshold of, I believe it's 800, so that the global cooldown goes on its first tick. So for those who don't know how Alacrity works, you basically have to reach certain hard thresholds for Alacrity in order for your global cooldown to be reduced. Now, Alacrity still affects all your other stats, even if you don't reach those hard caps, but if you want to go from shorter global cooldown to shorter global cooldown, you have to reach certain stat thresholds. So 800 is for this one, so I've crossed that threshold for this. This helps the tank get to cooldowns much, much faster. It helps you get through your rotation faster, and as a tank in a priority system, this is extremely important because all your abilities are instant as a PT tank. So the faster your global cooldown is, the more DPS you're going to push out. So, and that has been kind of the rule of thumb. More Alacrity, more DPS you're pushing out. Now, granted, the reason why I'm also doing this Alacrity is because if you play really tough ranked games like I've been into, where your tank heals, more DPS is going to matter in PvP. Burst is awesome, but burst if they survive your burst and it turns into a long drawn out fight that's going to go to acid or go to the 2 minute mark or the 1 minute mark, you're going to find that without Alacrity, you're going to be hurting a little bit. You know, you're going to realize you're not hitting as hard. And as a PT tank, you need to hit faster and faster and faster because Juggernaut tanks definitely have the advantage of us who for skanking. So that is our the skank tank. So let's look at the spec now. So here, for the PT now, it's no secret that the PT's in a rough spot DCD wise compared to other classes in DPS and even in the tanking stats. Now the tanking is a little bit in a better place than the DPS spec is, but let's just get into this. We're not worried about talking about metas here. We're talking about how to play this class. I'm just letting you know I'm very self-aware that PT tank ain't in where it's supposed to be. Okay, so let's take for the first one. Without a doubt, you gotta take Iron Will, reducing the cooldown determination by 30 seconds, cooldown of hydraulic overrides by 10 seconds. Absolutely important. You know, this is a must take for PvP. So keep in mind that all these utilities are going to be around PvP right now. I'll do the PvE ones in just a moment. Alright? So, here we go. Next, suppressive tools. Magnetic Blast, Flame Burst, Flame Sweep. Reduce the movement speed by 25% for 3 seconds. And Neural Dot slows your target by 50% for 6 seconds. Absolutely important CC snare. Keeps things in your range and keep the slows going. Alright, so that's a very big element to the PT tank, is keeping a group of people snared is extremely important. Now, before the nerfs, you know, I know some people take this, and I used to take this. Well, engulfing flames, which increases flaming sweep damage by 25%. This used to be really, really good before the nerfs happened. I forgot which 5.6 or 7 or something like that, where they nerfed the skank. They tried to nerf skank tanks when really all they did was really nerf the PT and Sin tanks for skank, and really left the Juggernaut still pulling fucking 26Ks off of Crushing Blow, because they don't, you know, devs just sometimes don't understand how all that shit works. They don't really sometimes. We're not getting into this. We're not doing this. We will not go into a PvP debate on meta. We're not doing this. All right, here we go. Next, we go down to Masterful. Now, I like the Pyro Shield because it adds to damage. It looks small. It really does look small, but when you're playing a match, and it adds up. It adds up when someone's just wailing into your PT tank like a moron. And let me tell you something, a lot of people are going to do that shit. This works really, really well. Alright, but you could totally sub this out for um, Pony Medic Boots. It's a little iffy for me. 15%, man, it really didn't do much for me in PvP, especially when everyone's so close. I have a gap closer, I have hydraulic overrides, I have a grapple, I have all these things at my disposal, and I didn't see a use. I didn't really see a use for it. Um, Here we go. Uh, Reduce lecture dart by 15 seconds. I mean, if we go over here to Electro Dart over here, I mean, the cooldown's 55, make it 40. I mean, you guess your stun's going to be coming off cooldown much faster, but this is going to be coming off cooldown relatively quick as a stun, too. I didn't find it all that useful because mostly things are going to be white barred by then, and I don't think it substitutes this one at all. Now, here's the must-take one. Um, Hitman. Reduces the cooldown of your interrupt. Cool, fine, whatever. Additionally, damage taken while stunned is reduced by 30% for shield tech, which is us. Yes, this is us. This is awesome because the PT tank is not a active tank like the assassin. It is not a cooldown tank like the Juggernaut. It is a passive tank, which means that your damage reduction, your DCDs, essentially, or your survivability, comes off of going through your rotation and taking damage, which means that you don't really need to pop abilities. So when you get stunned, which most people will do, they will stun a tank, because they don't think really hard, I guess, about it. Stunning a tank actually can make them tougher to kill at times, and especially for the PT tank. You get stunned, you get a 30% DR, or reducing the damage you take by 30%, so it's not actually DR. Those are actually two separate things. So right there, you're already increasing your survivability by a tremendous amount. And if you have your oil slick down or your heat blast stacks on there, you're going to feel that you're going to stay alive a lot longer. In fact, I love it when an enemy team stuns me for their burst onto me, and it's like, yeah, I just ate all your burst, and now I'm about to release the damage back onto you, and you wasted your stun, and I'm white barred now, and now you're not stopping me. It's a very nice ability. Um, it's a nice little utility that we got for PT Tank. Essentially, when they separated it, this was kind of a buff for PT Tanks. It turned into a buff. Um, so let's head down to, and then we got Sonic Rebounder, okay for PvP, mostly a PvE utility, but we'll get to PvE in a second here. So now we got Heroic. Heroic is where I like to take, these are must takes for me here for PvP. Hydraulic overrides by increased the duration by 4 seconds, which basically means that hydraulic overrides already is down to a 35-second cooldown, and you use it, right? It uses it, and it lasts now for 14 seconds, I believe, because it's normally 10. Unless it updates it in the toolbar, I'm pretty sure. It's like 14 or 10 seconds. I'm assuming it's 14 because we got the increased 4%. I'm blanking on that, but that's fine. It's around that range, 10 to 14, right? That's 10 seconds of it using it. This thing goes cooldown begins the second you use it. So which means that hydraulic overrides is actually on a 25-second cooldown before you can use it again, which is really really awesome. And if it's at 14, even better. It's shorter than that. So you're always getting hydraulic overrides almost all the time in a fight. Next, I think this is a must take for PvP. Mutilating shards. Everyone hit by your Shatter Slug, which is an AoE, which hits a target and bounces off to other targets. Their movement speed is affected by 75%. This effect can only occur once every 30 seconds. That's freaking okay. All right, that's all right. You don't need it. So which means when a Shatter Slug goes off, it's a 13 seconds, so now they're slowed for 15 of those seconds, right? So basically every other Shatter Slug is the slow will work. And this slow is absolutely amazing in ranked matches. Especially when you throw your oil slick down, they're slowed, and then as soon as they step out of the oil slick in a direction, you Shatter Slug them and keep that slow on. When you run a big heavy pressure build, like I run with some of my friends, we run a heavy pressure build. Um, Usually not too much hard swaps because I'm a PT tank, hard to do a hard swap strat. But one day I'll make a video about some PvP strats for people who don't know. But those are must takes in that category. Legendary. Shield cannon. Damaging a target with your shield cannon missile heals you for 3% of your total health. This thing kinda sucks, but it's helpful. Like it's there. It's better than nothing. Personally, I liked it. I was using what you would call it, battling ram, because I would get the extra jump, but I just didn't find it to have as much utility as I'd hoped it would. As a PT, I never have a struggle of staying on my targets or keeping them within range. Like that's never been my problem with the Powertech tank. So adding another sort of obliterate, Marauder obliterate style gap closer just didn't really help. It doesn't help your rotation all that much. It doesn't hit that hard even as a skank tank. It's better to, it's a waste of global cooldown, essentially, is how I found it. And by the time someone actually does get away far enough from you that you can't do damage to them anymore, the buff of it wears off. So, it's kind of lame. Just saying, it was a little bit lame to me. It was a bit of a downer. Then, overdrives increase your movement speed by 45% while active. Amazing when you need to kite. And we'll get into that in a second. Why you need to kite and stuff. But there we go. So those are the utilities that you're going to take. Let's talk about why we don't take. Reel and Rattle, complete and utter waste. It's not worth it. It's not worth a whole utility point to take the extra 20% damage on the Rocket Punch as a tank. It's just really not. Um, let's see. Pressure overdrives would be a great utility if only rail shot was included. There is no rail shot on here, so keeping your dot on somebody will be a pain in the dick. Yes, because every time you hit someone with a rocket punch or a rail shot, you refresh your ion dot on somebody, and every piece of DPS counts. This is really a waste of utility. It's more it has more raid utility if anything else, but like I said, I don't have a problem staying on my target, so this really won't help me. It's not worth losing these other things. Explosive fuel increases fuel additives. Explosive fuel increases damage done by 5% while you're in the tank, and damage reduction by 5% while you're in basically DPS spec. Now, I like the 5% increase. I know it sounds like yeah, it's a DPS increase, but man, I'm gonna keep my speed. I'm gonna keep my speed to get around the map really quickly, and I'm gonna keep the light little self heal that goes on top of me, and it's nice. It kind of it's weird because sometimes this thing could really save you. It keeps your health bar up like just a little bit. Like it goes down a little bit and like through some dot or some shit and it undoes it. You know, like that in a ranked match, that shit's a big deal. You know, you could win fights by just barely staying alive. I know so many fights where I was sitting at like 20% health and dancing there and they just couldn't burst me beyond that point for whatever reason. You know, and it's very interesting how that like works. You know, I don't know how to explain it, but like it's really useful. It works. Like, it's not great. Like, don't get me wrong. This shit ain't nothing close to like having shield stacks like a mercenary or a cult overload to 60% or anything like that. You know, it's not as good as ED or reflect or endure pain. It ain't as good as those things. But you know what? It kind of gets the job done. You know, so all right. So let's go here. Let's get my buffs back on. Yeah. So we have that 132k HP. Um, but yeah. So basically. Now let's talk about the premises of the PT tank in skank form. Now these don't really change too much from the I guess skank tank method of doing your rotation. Like you're not gonna do anything different just because you're mitigated. You're just gonna hit a lot slower, or not slower, but softer. But you're gonna do more damage in skank form. So so that's another thing. Okay, cool. I just got an update. Sorry, my dad's surgery's going on. Looks like it's going well. That's good. All right, let's move on. Let's move into this real quick. All right, so we got now let's go into this rotation-y stuff. This is the stuff that people kind of come for. They're like, what do I click? What do I do? I'll tell you what you click and what you do. So the first thing you're gonna want to do is you're gonna actually no, hold on, we gotta go on the skill tree because see tanking a lot of shit requires people to shoot you to work for a PT tank. There's no one shooting me in here. So, you know, so let's see. Like, for example, this is a really important thing you need to do. You need to build stacks of heat blast. All right, you need to do these things. Right, you need to keep so this stacks up to 3 times. Basically, shield an attack or triggering your ion gas cylinder generates a heat screen. So basically, what it means by generating a freaking ion gas cylinder, like say I jump on him. Look, I do a rocket punch that generates ion gas cylinder. You see, there's a dot up there. I hit him with a rail shot. You see that? That the dot gets reset. Rocket punch. You see how I keep that dot on him I was talking about? When you jump, you get 2 free sweeps. You just do this. You know, you just keep that up, and then you use your heat blast at 3 stacks. As you can see, the more I trigger my ion cylinder, I keep this shield chance increased, and this is really useful. And even in Skank Tank set, make sure you have a shield on. Please, for the love of God, make sure you have a shield on. Alright, like, if you don't have a shield on, you're going to die so quickly. Oh my god, dude, you do have no idea how many PT tanks think they're the god's gift to skank tanking, and they're running there with a fucking generator, and then they get tank tunneled, and then they die. And then they look at their team like, you didn't heal us enough. Like, no, you're not mitigating anything. This shield, like, think about it this way. Like, let's look at defense here. Alright, let's break this down real quick. So you have a shield chance of 23%, just standing there. Right? Absorption of about 30%. So let's go through let's build all our stacks up here. Let's build it up. Let's build it up. Let's build it up. Boom. All right, now you're at look at that. You're at 26% shield chance, which is about 1 every 4 hits. And then when you use heat blast, your shield absorption goes up to almost 60%. So if someone hits you during that duration, that's pretty sweet, right? And all this builds faster when you're getting shot at, by the way. So you will be building stacks without having to go through this. But look at that. Look at those stats right there for defense. You know, like that's what I'm saying is like you'll have like these bursty spikes of shielding a chance and absorbing an attack. This is extremely important. Like if you're not doing this, you're wrong, right? You need that extra defense. It makes a difference. Trust me, it makes a difference in a fight. You know, so and that's really into the rotation. So like you're gonna jump on somebody. So let's just go through this very smoothly. You're just gonna jump on someone. You're gonna rocket punch them with that ion gas cylinder on there. You're gonna use your two free sweeps. You're gonna hit them with that rail shot. Oh, I wore off because I'm talking. My bad. My B. But yeah, you're gonna rock. You're gonna jump on them. Wow, it's not letting me attack. You're gonna rocket punch. You're gonna flame burst, rail shot to reset, firestorm, heat blast, back to rocket punch. Do the flame sweeps. You know, and then put things on and slow things. As you can see, there really isn't a rotation. As you can see that, there really isn't. It is a priority system. Oh, is your Firestorm procced? You're going to hit your Firestorm on a group of enemies. Your Rail Shot's off cooldown, use it to reset that. Heat Blast is up. Knock the Heat Blast up. You know, you're going to mix in your shoulder rockets as well in the middle. There is no like you must do this in this order, this order. The only order that I would recommend is jumping on a target, because you get rocket punch them and you get two free flame sweeps, no heat cost. Put the rail shot there right before the cooldown's over, awesome. And look at that, you hit him with a firestorm, rocket punch again, heat blast. Like that's as far as it would go. This is it. That's the rotation. The rest of it is priority. Oh, you got a group of enemies, you need to slow them down, shatter slug. You know, you got a group of enemies and you need to reduce their accuracy, oil slick. You know, and this shit is really, really important. Alright, like that's how you do it. It's more about using your utilities rather than I do have a great rotation. That's not what tanking is in Swtor. Even the other tanks, like I mean the closest tank you'll get to a rotation will be the Juggernaut tank, because he builds procs to do more damage. But here you don't really get too many procs to do more damage. Hitting your rocket punch and your rail shots and your flame burst and your heat blast will eventually proc your firestorm. It's gonna happen. Alright, so I believe your Firestorm also procs if you shield an attack. You know, and that's a damage boost. It's about a 40% damage boost. It got nerfed, but that's okay. So your main thing is to keep. Whoa, 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 Swtor. Why you always be doing shit like this to me? Anyway, your main thing is to keep your rocket punch, manage that dot up there, and reset it. That is what you want to play around with. You want to make sure that's always on them, because technically your ion gas cylinder is always triggering. So that's extremely important. You just want to keep going. You just want to keep doing this right here, right? You're just playing around this, and your heat's building up. That's okay. You're gonna use this. You're gonna put some rapid shots in there. You know, heat blast is back, and you're gonna reduce it back down. There we go. And if you really need to, you can use thermal sensors. I know I'm not really like focusing too much, but yeah, like that's it. That's really it. Look, the heat's already back down. That's it. That's all it is, man. Nothing crazy. Nothing crazy at all for skanking with the PT tank. It's really that simple. It is honestly the easiest tank to play. I'm not even kidding you guys. Like in terms of doing your rotation and stuff. The challenge of the PT tank. Now, we got to go over some of what you really need to do. The challenge of the PT tank is staying the fuck alive in a long fight. And here's why. Like it goes in this order of hierarchy in this meta right now. Juggernaut is hands down the best tank. Like you could come at me in 1,000 ways and say how your Sin or your PT is better, quote unquote, than any Jug tank playing this game. But I guarantee you that if you're playing someone at your skill level and he is a Juggernaut tank, he's going to beat you. Or at least have a better chance of beating you. Of course, your healers and your DPS matter too, right, in a 4v4 game. But tank to tank, they're going to be better than you. Alright, they got more cooldowns than you. They got way more burst damage than you. So, you know, a good hard swapping team is pretty tough to beat. It's a hard combo to beat. And Juggernaut complements that excellently. They got the Intercede utility. They have the Mad Dash utility to escape from fights. They have great DCDs, as I've already said multiple times, that literally heal them back up to full health. You know, like, you don't understand how clutch that is to be able to beat a tank, mitigate shitloads of damage for your team, be super low on health, and hit a button to get another health bar. And by the time you get back into that state again, it's already off cooldown if you're a good Juggernaut. If you know how to cycle your DCDs will be coming back to plague your teammates. It's amazing. Below them would be the Sin tank. Now the Sin and PT tank, a Sin is much more manageable as a PT because you're both AoE tanks. But here's the thing. This game's made in the Hero engine. The Hero engine is ass. Okay, I will let you know right now. It is a bad engine. And the reason why it's a bad engine is because, unfortunately, BioWare doesn't really understand how to utilize this engine. You know, like this thing, your Firestorm, your main cleave. Amazing when it hits everybody, terrible when it doesn't. You're going to notice this a lot. You're going to see people in your cleave that do not take damage, and that is because they are desynced. Server side, they are actually not there, but on your screen they're there. You know, so I found a really good strategy to help you catch desync. Is I know this is super counterintuitive to PvP. But what you're gonna do is you're gonna want to backpedal when you hit your firestorm. Now don't indefinitely fucking backpedal. Don't do that. And do not say that I told you to indefinitely backpedal. That is bad. So if this thing is my enemy and I'm sitting right here and he's really close to me, sometimes it won't register if I pop it around here. But if I like do this really quick, of course I'll do. If it goes much faster in a real match, right? Because while you're playing, I've noticed better results of getting a hit. But yeah, sometimes Hero Engine's gonna fuck your cleave and you're gonna be like, oh damn it, it didn't actually hit anybody. Sucks to suck. Meanwhile, while the Assassin AoE is guaranteed to hit its targets because it hits a target and bounces off of them. You see what I mean? Like as an AoE tank. That is a big utility it has. Also, the Assassin tank has better DCDs than us. Like, let's just be real. Like, they can stealth out when they need to, give their healer a little break for a second. You know, they got they have a pull just like we do. They match us in that. They have a gap closer just like we do. They have more consistent damage than we do. They have a great shield chance increase. They have a mez. They can stealth out and mez targets before the fight even starts. And trust me, all these things matter. You may not think that, like, oh, in the grand scheme of rotation, that, oh, hey, that doesn't really matter. It's not a part of their rotation. No, dude, every piece of utility matters. And the Sith Assassin also has immense amount of crowd control in terms of hard stunning targets, knockbacks on targets. That's another thing that they have is a knockback. You can control high ground with an assassin tank. It's really useful, you know, to have that. Now, of course, it takes a little skill to pull off, but I'm always putting comparison of people equal to your skill level. You shouldn't compare yourself to people that, yes, I know I can steamroll. Yes, I know I can steamroll Joe who doesn't know how to guard hop. Just let you know. Like, that's not an achievement. So, keep that in mind with the PT tank. We're a little bit behind on the table. We're underneath everybody. So that's just something to keep in mind. But it's still very doable, you know? Like if we just take a look over here, arena stats 12 and 5, highest rating was 1432, solo rating is 1410. Right now I lost my last game, but it's doable, right? Like you can get dubs against people. It's totally possible to do it. You know, I'm climbing slowly this season, you know. It's happening whenever I get a chance to. But it can happen, you know? And in regs, same principles apply. So, those are some things you need to know about the tank hierarchy. The next big thing I need to talk about here for the PT tank is we got to go over the what you would call it, tactics. How do you stay alive as a PT tank? Now, ironically, this is gonna blow your damn mind. So a lot of people like to tank tunnel the PT tank, and this is why I get a lot of wins. I'm not gonna lie, like tank tunneling me is like yes, yes. It's like here we go. Because there's two things you could do. First round, I like to I stay in my skank set. My first round, you know, I like to stay in it, and if I can survive in it, good for me. So like if we're fighting like on Tatooine Canyon, I'm gonna run. I'm gonna kite if they're tank telling me, and if they stay on me, That means they're really dedicated to tank tunnel. Most players are, right? You go into a solo queue, solo ranked match, and people will be like, you tell some rando, hey man, tunnel this guy. They're gonna tunnel the guy the whole time without fail. Like I could pop a DCD and they'll still waste all their burst on me. They'll still do all these things. Like players can't give players too much credit. A lot of them do that kind of shit. You know, so if they're chasing me around the map as a PT tank, I'm all for it, man. It makes life a lot easier for my DPS. You know, they shouldn't have any problems. You know, so I'll run around, like I'll run back and forth. Like if we were fighting over here, like on this little strip here, I'll do this. Like I'll be over here, and then I'll be over here, and then I'll be over here. Like I'll do shit like that just to irritate them. I'll go run an LOS around a pillar for a little while, and then stop, stun them with a carbonize, you know, and let my healer heal me back up, and then resume running back around corners. If I don't have a healer, I'll just gonna carbonize them, stay on the other side, stay on and just keep going around in a circle. Just keep going around in a circle, in a circle, in a circle. And then boom, next thing you know, 1 DPS, Frog Dog is dead. And then now I can just enter a 3v4, 3 DPS, all focused on me at this point. Even if I die, isn't going to do anything. I'm going to dish out as much damage as I can, put as much rebounders as I can, as much snares and CC as I can to the enemy team, and just help my team in utility as they clean up kills. You know, often I'll be like second or third in damage, but I'll be like right behind the DPS unless it's like a really, really long match and my DPS are just going hard. And you know, kudos to them. You know, like in rank, but in regs, man, in regs, I'll sit like, I'll beat like Marauders on the damage board. It's kind of stupid. You know, like how much damage you can pull, especially if there's like a big fight at mid at all times, and you're winning the fight, and you're just AoEing as a PT tank and constant AoEs. Fantastic. It's fantastic. You know, so next, let's take a look at some gear for the tank gear, like the mitigation gear. So, here we go. This is the next strategy that what did I just throw on there? I did throw the right one on there. See, I'm not crazy. All right, let's throw this all this shit on there. Here we go. All right, the legs are already there. Oh, I was wearing the fucking tank legs. God damn it. But yeah. Oh no. These are different legs. These are my old legs. These are the new legs. See, this is now you see why. Now you see why I don't toss gear around because this happens to me all the time. I'll fucking sit here and just lose track of my gear. Alrighty, so this is gonna be a lot faster because I don't gotta go through the utilities because the utilities stay exactly the same in tank spec for PvP. The only things that are gonna change for PvE, I like to take at times, depending on fight, bracer propellant or close and personal, and I like to take not gyroscopic, this one, iron will, because hydraulics comes off of cooldown. That's for my PvP. My PvE is this one, and this one. That's PvE. PvE, sonic rebounder, absolutely a must if you're doing raids. Just gotta take it, unless you cheese mechanics. Why would you not? Um, Next thing I like to take as a tank in PvE is liquid cooling because it lets you vent more heat and it increases your threat. It's a nice way of maintaining aggro if you've gotten to a little tough. If your heat's building and your rotation has to slow down and you got like that Mara that just loves to pull off you because they're sitting there going in their 30-second rotation of Annie. Yeah, then you could do that. So it helps you keep your threat. I mean, it's not a lot. Like, don't expect this to like carry you. This is not the Juggernaut Reflect utility generating way more threat to all targets around you. It's not like that level, but it's still there. It's still something useful. It's better than taking mutilating shards because I don't know what I guess slowing the boss doesn't work. So that's PvE, and really I like to take pressure overrides in PvE and overdrive and fuel additives. If you feel like you're struggling with the DPS check, this can come in quite handy. So that's a good one right there. All right, so that's where the utilities way. Let's take a look at the gear because rotation is exactly the same. Play around with your rail shot, your rocket punch, keep that shit going. All right, so let's take a look at our defensive stats here. Just standing here and being a nice little power tech. Shield chance, 50%. Shield absorption, 48%. So I tried to go as close as I possibly can for the 50-50 split. So let's jump on a target here. Let's go here. All right, so I'm gonna jump on the target. All right, rock punch, shield absorption increased, Absorption increased up to 50%. There we go. Because I got those procs, right? That's where I get it from. It actually goes a little bit higher when I keep the procs going. Alright, so it goes to 51% and shield chance at 53%. This is a status you will be most of the time right here. Alright, this is what you're gonna say. So you have a 50% chance basically. Every other attack, you have a chance to basically shield it. And then you're gonna absorb 50% of the damage and not even take it. It's fucking awesome. And then when you want, if they catch him with the heat blast, you pop that heat blast, boom, you're at 78% shield absorption on every other attack. Fucking beautiful, dude. When an ambush hits me or a heat seeker hits me on a merc, and they don't even know what's up anymore at that point. You know, they're like, shit. You know, as you can see, my DPS stats are much lower, but that's okay. This is about staying alive. This is amazing when you're guard hopping in tank games. Now, like I was saying, if you're playing a really good set of DPS or really tanking you and they're chasing you down, or you got like operatives and sins, um, even a good sniper or a good merc, if they're hunting you down and you lose that round because you died early, take it easy. Your team might be a little tilted. Take it easy. It happens. It happens sometimes, man. It happens to the best players. Swap gear. That's what I do. That's why I keep all my gear on me. It's because, you know what? If they want a tank tunnel, I'll swap into my mitigation gear, and then we win 2 rounds. Because they don't know what happened. And I'm telling you, this shit works. This shit works right here. Swapping gear is really clutch. Now, if you want to go really clutch in a ranked match, you could actually get out of combat if you run and your team stays alive. If you got like mercs and snipers who know how to play, you get out of combat and you just quickly throw on all your other shit. Alright, you quickly throw on your mitigation set, come back into the fight, and they're like, oh, the PT tank's back, let's tunnel him. You know? Like, it's... You'll be crazy how many times that's worked. It's hilarious, because they have no idea what the hell just happened. So, even when you're mitigated in PvP, you're going to want the DPS stim, but you want to take the blue tanking stim in PvE. So, and that's it for PvE and PvP right there. Like, it's the same. It's all the same. So, you know, just don't get discouraged if you're struggling in the beginning as a PT tank. If it's tough, it takes a second to get used to. Um, it's a very simple tank. People have described the tank as boring. I personally don't find it boring. It's my favorite tank to play. Um, but I could be maybe a little bit biased because I love bounty hunters. It's my favorite archetype in Star Wars, you know. And I like the tech shit. You know, don't get me wrong, I like playing on my force using tunes too, but my main has always been a merc since the launch, and then my second main has always is basically been a PT. It's just a bounty hunter class in general, and I mean, I was playing bounty hunter in Galaxies, I'm playing it here still. You know, it's never gonna go away. Every Star Wars game that comes out, this will be my archetype. So, and whatever options they have for it, I'll play it. But yeah, so there you guys have it, man. That is my in-depth guide on the PT tank, um, and for skank and mitigated. Essentially, most of it is the same. You just swap a few utilities around here and there. And for PvE and PvP, I just want to let people know I've cleared NIM content on my PT tank, and I have cleared all the hard modes pretty much, except we haven't killed Revan yet. We keep getting the third phase. We'll get it eventually. uh, freaking aberrations. And I believe we're going to start progging hard mode Master Blaster soon, at some point. So, but we've cleared, you know, like DP, we've cleared that, we've cleared DF, um, we've cleared TFB. I'm trying to think. We haven't really touched gods all that much, but we'll get there at some point. But yeah, we're knocking bosses down. And what I mean cleared all the bosses. A lot of these raids, like we've cleared various bosses in them, depending on lockouts. Oh, we've cleared EC. That's another one we've cleared on NIM. So we've cleared quite a few. We're getting there. And we've pretty much got Revan down at this point. So that's just a little NIM rating update. But I'm just letting you know the PT tank is completely viable in these situations. Now, I mostly now DPS for my raid team because we take double sin tank to cheese a shitload of mechanics. It's awesome taking double sin tank. So if you see a raid team taking double sin, it's not because the PT sucks. It's because they're just better. If that makes sense, right? Like at choosing mechanics. So Just let you know, that's if you're going into the heavy rating, but if you're PvPing like I like to do most of my time, you'll be fine. Just be careful when a really good Juggernaut enters your game, and you gotta play around him. You know, you gotta make sure he's stunned, CC'd, staying out of range. You're taunting him at the right time. That's another important thing to remember as a tank in general. I'll do maybe a video like on general concepts of DPS and tanking and PvP. I'll probably do something like that, but here here it is. So what you want to do is you want to make sure you're taunting at the right time. You know, you see that ambush cast? That's the time to taunt. You know, you see that they're a big cleave spec. They're trying to cleave your team. AOE taunt. You know, that shit's super important. That shit is all. You don't understand. Like, there is no point of taunting someone when they're using like tracer missile as a merc versus when heat seekers or rail shots are going off. That's when you want your taunt to be active during that period of time. So, and interrupt whenever you can. You know, the mercs. So there you have it, guys. That is your PT tank guide of in-depth. And if you liked it, you know, I know I'm a new channel. Don't really like, you know, I'm not too big on the crazy editing of videos and making them super flashy. I'm more about content. You know, content. In terms of like what's in the video and what it's talking about. So if you liked what you see here, you want to see more Swtor stuff, you want to see other MMOs, I do dabble in other MMOs. Swtor is still like my main MMO pretty much. You know, it's the one I've played the most over the years. I've been literally playing this game since fucking launch. You know, so I've been around for a while. Um, but yeah, if you like what you see here, give it a like, give it a subscribe, give it a comment, you know, share the video, things like that, you know, like start, like if you want to help me out, just you know, just do that. I don't have no intention of like monetizing these or anything like that. Even if it got like really popular, like I really don't. I like to make my money doing other things. Um, like I do game development and things like that on the side. So that is where I reel in some income. So and I'm also in the army. So like it's not like that's not what I'm doing it for. I'm literally doing it because I like SWTOR. I want to make content for SWTOR and I want to help people out to get better at the game. If you have any types of videos you want to see, other than this one, if you've made it this far and bared with me, if there's other stuff you want to see in SWTOR or some other games, um, then just you know put it down there. Put it like, hey man, I'd love to see you do this or you review this or you talk about this game. You know, because as someone who's works as a indie developer, who works as a writer on the side, um, you know, like that stuff is I guess I could say I might have some interesting takes, maybe some unpopular opinions on some things. So um, with that, like, that's the end of this video. So I'll catch you guys next time.